What's up, guys? Unqualified Critics here. I gotta tell you, I have this frog in my throat, and I've done like 5 takes on this damn video. So, however this comes out, this is the take you guys are getting. I hope you like it. But I wanted to give you some news on Zen Studios. Zen Studios has just been bought out. Well, actually, they just announced that they're being bought out. The transaction isn't complete yet. I have a few thoughts on this, but one of them is relevant for all of us. Zen Studios, if you guys aren't already familiar, they're the exclusive software partner for Arcade1up for their pinball. Zen has a huge, rich history of virtual pinball, but they're getting into the physical pinball cabinets, physical virtual pinball, I should say, which is kind of a weird sentence. But they're getting into that and they're jumping into bed with Arcade1up. Now, you may have noticed a month ago, Zen Studios went on the warpath against AtGames, saying you can't stream our games on your new Legends pinball, and there was this big dust up, and not worth going through all that here. I did a video on it. If you want to watch it, you certainly can. But at the time, I was a little bit surprised that Zen Studios was just so dramatic about it. I mean, again, as I said at the time when I did my video, it's within any company's rights to defend their IP, their intellectual property, the properties that they own. And companies, in fact, are supposed to do that. But they just did it in a way that was so emphatic, I was a little bit taken aback. And I get it now, because when they did that, they were in the late stages of finalizing selling their company. And guess what can sink a transaction like that or damage it quite a bit? If it looks like other companies are ripping you off and you can't defend your IP and fully monetize your IP, it's going to be a lot harder to sell your company. So to me, that makes sense now that Zen Studios would go out and just, again, be on that warpath, because they are defending their IP, not just for us as consumers, but they're really looking at Embracer Group, because some people probably got a pretty fat check out of selling this company, and you get that check dangled in front of your face, and you get pretty excited and things kind of change. So I just thought all that was interesting. It puts it all into context. But I want to break real quick for you guys to see about the TN Shadow. Hey, I want to give a special shout out to Tilted Nation. They make the TN Shadow RGB headset stand. If you're like me and you use headphones a lot at your computer and they're not just like the little ear pods, you probably need somewhere to hang your headphones. It looks good on the desk. It's also a USB hub. So check it out. And they're going to be giving one away to our viewers. So one of you is going to get a free one. I'm going to do a giveaway with Gleam. So keep an eye out on that. There'll be a link where you can go and register and then get your free one. Make sure you're subscribed. They provided a special discount code just for my viewers. It is unqualified. That just the word unqualified, and that'll get you 15% off. All right, now because it's YouTube and the percentage of people that watch these videos to completion is like 60-70%. I know there's a bunch of you that aren't going to watch it to the end. So I want to get this out of the way. I think the key takeaway here is this. Let's take a look at their press release. Why did Embracer Group buy Zen Studios? Well, let's take a look at from their own words. Within the Embracer Group, Zen Studios will operate as an independent studio under Saber. Saber is one of the many game developers, by the way, or publishers that Embracer Group owns, with continued focus on developing premium games. Yeah, as opposed to what? Like crappy games? Like, of course, right? But Zen Studios strengthens Embracer Group's footprint and Saber's development capabilities in Eastern Europe. Saber will support Zen's expansion into the RPG genre. Look at that. Not pinball. Pinball isn't talked about at all. I thought when I started reading this press release, they were going to say they think virtual pinball is the future of the home arcade market. It's only going to grow. It might even have opportunities in the commercial arcade market years down the road. We wanted a stake of that because that's what Zen Studios is known for. But no, Zen Studios has done other games before, including some obscure RPG I've never heard of. Embracer Group bought Zen because they want to expand into RPGs. Very, very surprising. Now look, none of us are on the ground on this. These are smart people, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot of money changing hands, and I'm sure on some level this makes sense. But as a consumer, I just found it really surprising. Now, what does this not mean? Because I don't want anyone to watch this video and then get scared and think, oh, Arcade1up pinball is getting canceled because Zen's going in another direction. No way. No way. And honestly, even if that did happen, which it won't, I'm sure Arcade1up will just find another partner. Not going to happen. Virtual pinball is going to be huge. And I think in the near term, it's going to make a lot of revenue for Zen Studios. So that is not happening. But what does it mean that pinball isn't going to be part of Zen's major focus in the future? The fact that they were acquired for something other than their pinball. Are they going to look at pinball as just a cash cow to milk? And maybe, honestly, maybe that's okay because the Pinball FX platform is already pretty good. They've got the software pretty well baked out. Presumably, they're going to perfect cabinet mode with the Arcade1up release, and hopefully, they're going to support that over time. But outside of licensing maybe some more tables here or there, is there really that much more for them to do in pinball? Maybe there's not. So I don't think this is doom and gloom by any means. I just find it kind of cosmically hilarious that Zen Studios, known mostly for pinball, was bought for RPGs. Let's look at Embracer Group and what kind of brands they own. So they own a lot of brands here. Kingdoms of Amalur is an RPG that they've done, but mostly not really RPGs. So that's a thing. They want to expand their footprint into more RPGs, okay. But then they bought Zen Studios, aka Zen Pinball, as I almost called them, for RPGs. Weird. But they do own Koch Media and Deep Silver. Deep Silver was the publisher behind Shenmue 3. I'm a big Shenmue fan. So anybody helping bankroll Shenmue, man, I'm about that life.
Hey, what's up? Can I play Lucky Hit here? Hey, you've come to the right place. Play to your heart's content.
Other thing, I don't know how much you guys follow modern gaming, but you probably are aware. The cost to develop modern games has gotten so expensive so fast. And you see these AAA game studios that just crap out a new Call of Warlord, whatever, 3 every year. New Call of Duty annual release, new NBA Live annual release, new Madden annual release, and there are like 100 other games that fit that bucket. Well, it's made it harder and harder for smaller developers and publishers with less money to compete, which I think is unfortunate because in my opinion, a lot of these AAA games really lack soul, they really lack innovation, and just aren't that interesting to me. I know they're interesting to a lot of people. NBA Live, which by all accounts I've ever read is a horrible game, but it continues to be one of the best-selling games out there. So there's a market for this stuff, but what about all the other games that want to compete with them and have a seat at the table? Well, it looks like Embracer's approach is to buy a bunch of these studios and kind of pool resources, which sounds pretty interesting to me. But if you look at them as a company and the people that work here and the kind of titles we're getting, this really looks like a financial buyer to me. These are a lot of finance guys. These are guys that are making sure that the numbers make sense. These aren't the creative types. Now, I'm sure within each individual studio, they have all those creative folks, and they probably even have a lot of creative free reign to make the choices they want to make. So this Embracer thing is kind of interesting. I don't know how much you guys know about buying and selling companies, but at the risk of oversimplifying, you basically got 2 buckets you can live in when you buy and sell a company. You can sell your company to what's thought of as a financial buyer, or you can sell your company to a strategic buyer. And 2 examples that are pretty high profile that you've probably heard of. One would be Siri, so the little voice control on your phone. Apple didn't create Siri. Apple bought Siri. I think they bought the whole company that did Siri many years ago, a couple $100 million. And that was a strategic purchase. They weren't buying Siri because Siri printed a bunch of cash. At the time, I don't even think Siri had any revenue. They bought Siri because they saw its future and potential to generate a big competitive differentiator, which is going to help them sell more iPhones, which is worth a crap load of money. So they buy Siri for $200 million and they plan to use it to drive their growth. That's a strategic buyer. A financial buyer is looking for growth too, but they're really just managing the dollars and the cents. Do you guys remember the 2012 election? One of the big controversies out of that election, and I felt like it was unfair. I felt like it kind of took advantage of the public's minimal understanding of these kind of things. But Mitt Romney, his previous employer was Bain Capital. What is Bain Capital? Well, they're a financial buyer. They'll buy up companies, cut staff, manage things more efficiently. Probably the worst thing they would do is load your company up with debt and then try to, basically put the pedal to the metal and squeeze out any growth they can, not worry too much about long-term implications. But they would buy you and they would do it in a way to cut costs and then make more profit in the short term. So that's a financial buyer. That's an extreme version of a financial buyer. They're not all that extreme. Some of them will just buy you and then just take the cash every year, and they're not trying to fire half your team. So I don't want to paint it all with too broad of a brush. But financial buyer, strategic buyer. If you guys get the difference, if you smell what I'm putting down or whatever that saying is. Embracer Group to me looks like actually something kind of in between. They're strategic, I think, in the sense that they pretty much exclusively do game publishers. They have to have some knowledge of gaming and gaming trends. But when you look at who runs the company, this isn't This isn't Apple with a bunch of designers. No, these are finance people, and there's nothing wrong with finance people. But they're going to buy you because they think that they can make money off your company, and they think they can help you run more efficiently. And this press release speaks to that. They talk about combining Zen with some of their other resources to help them develop and create games from scratch more efficiently. So I would encourage you to take a look at this whole release if you're interested. Maybe I put all you guys to sleep. I don't know. You can let me know in the chat if you like this kind of video or not. But it is a big move. Congrats, by the way, to the team at Zen Studios. I hope they got paid out nicely. And actually, I guess one last thing, if you look at the purchase price, normally when you sell a company, it's confidential how much you got paid. It's very rare, actually, that this gets published. So not surprising that they're not publishing it. I thought this was interesting. The earnout consideration is 5 years. What is an earnout? Normally, when you sell a company, you get paid an upfront amount, but in addition, you get paid more over a period of time if the acquired company hits milestones. If you're an acquirer, it's a way to reduce your risk. If you're a seller, it's a way to kind of double down and invest in what you think you can do to grow. So if you're selling your company, you'll say, all right, I have an 18-month earnout period. Maybe the founding members have to stay with the company. They have to guide it through growth, and then they'll get paid their full amount. 5 years is actually a longer than typical earnout period. So that's interesting. It's like a really severe hedge. There could be a lot of reasons for that. Maybe it's because Embracer didn't have enough cash on hand to buy this thing out, or they didn't want to give up all their shares. Maybe it's because they recognize there's a lot of risk in Zen Studios pivoting into RPGs, which I guess they've done an RPG before, but you guys know what I mean. They're not known for their RPGs. So they're going to kind of go in a new direction. And if it works, then they've got this nice 5-year earnout plan and people are going to make some bank. Now, maybe they've already made a bunch of bank. We don't know what percentage of their buyout was paid out up front and what percentage is part of this earnout period. But again, I hope I didn't put you guys to sleep. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. I'd super appreciate it. Let me know what you think of the comments of this kind of video. I'm curious genuinely to get your feedback. And bottom line, let's all get hyped for virtual pinball from Arcade1up with Zen Studios this year. I'll talk to you guys later. Hey, consider hitting that join button to support the channel, and thanks so much for watching.